It is not always easy to bond with your children. Sometimes it's a personality clash. Sometimes they push boundaries and they rebel. Sometimes we can inadvertently cause problems in our relationship by the words we use or the actions that we take. But no matter what the situation is, there's always a way to repair the relationship. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of key insights that I think will help you. So let's get started. You know, relationships are tricky. And when I think of connecting with our kids, there are several things that come to my mind. If you need to mend your relationship, I want you to start with these 4 ideas. Number 1, stay connected in the small things with your kids, because then the tough times are more easily navigated. When you're working through difficult issues with your kids, whether it's their behaviors, problems with their friends, school issues, or just, anything, it really comes down to the quality of the relationship that you have with them. So try to stay connected with your kids in lots of small ways. And then when you have to navigate the hard stuff, it'll just be so much easier for you. Small connections come from listening well, from expressing love, from expressing appreciation, giving genuine compliments. For some kids, you almost cannot do this too much. Number 2, meet your children where they are. This is such an important skill for connecting well with our kids. I have personally found that with my kids, I kind of have to meet them in their interests. So for example, with my son, we ride dirt bikes together, primarily because he loves that so much. And this is a way that I can stay close to him, even though I might rather be doing different things. And I would rather be doing different things, but this is my way to stay close to him. Let me share with you a recent true story in our family that ended up having a much more profound impact on our relationship than I ever would have imagined. My daughter, she felt like she didn't have a really great relationship with her brother. She wanted one as her younger brother, but they're so different and they have completely different interests and completely different personalities. And in some ways, she kind of felt like he didn't really care very much about her. And so many times over the years, she would try to engage with him. She would ask him about his day. She would ask him about school. And he would give her these one-word responses. Well, not long ago, she came to me complaining. And she was feeling like he just wasn't interested in her. And it kind of hurt her feelings. And I told her what I say to parents a lot. I said, you need to meet him where he is. He loves to talk about his dirt bike. So ask him about that, Well, again, this just happened a few months ago. So she started asking him about his dirt bike and what he liked about it. And this boy just perked right up. And so he took her out into the garage. He's got this little area in the garage where he's got all of his stuff. And they spent a solid hour out there. And she's, like we talked about, she's meeting him where he is. And she's asking him all these questions. And she's listening to him. And he's telling her all about this favorite thing in the world for him. Now, again, she's meeting him where he was, not where she was. And this was just a small moment. I'm telling you, it did not last even more than an hour. And it has surprised me. It seems to have had such a profound impact on their relationship. Now, he looks forward to seeing her when she visits home from college. They talk on the phone when she's gone. On a recent home visit, he took her up to the mountain and just took her to places that he likes to be. And she and I have talked about this one small moment many times, and we've both been surprised at how he has responded to her with this. Before we move on to the next points, I want to thank you for watching this video. Do you struggle in communicating with your children or disciplining them effectively? None of us are given manuals when our kids are born, manuals that tell us what to do in every situation. We end up learning by trial and error. Well, that's what this channel is all about. It's about using my system of correcting and connecting so that you can build strong, long-lasting relationships with your children. If that's the kind of thing you want to know more about, then like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with all of your friends. Now let's get back to the video. Number 3, become an expert listener. I know this sounds so simple. I don't know of many things that I've done that have had such a profound impact on a relationship as listening. Sometimes it's hard to listen. Let me share with you another real example. I had an experience with my daughter. She was going through something that was causing her a lot of pain. And without giving away too many details, I'll just say that it caused me and her mom a lot of pain watching her go through this. And sometimes it was heavy enough that it felt almost unbearable to sort of watch her suffer. And because I didn't have the answers, I didn't know what to say to her. And there were a lot of times where I felt stuck and clueless. And I didn't have any of my dad wisdom that I could give to her that would sort of make things better for her. And there was this particular night that everything had come to a head. And she was so discouraged, she was so down. And she was in a different city. She was at a volleyball tournament with her mom. They were in Reno, we were in Utah. And she calls me, she FaceTimes me, and she just wants to talk. And she wants to start telling me about all these things that she's struggling with. And this is really the culmination of about a year of stuff for her. And it kind of had all come to a head this night. And so while she's telling me these things, again, I'm frustrated. I'm searching my mind for things to say. What can I say to her? How can I pull her out of this? She's got to play well. And there's nothing. There's nothing I can say, nothing I've ever said has worked, nothing I am saying is going to work. And I am so frustrated and I'm kind of anxious. And what I really remember about this moment is just the sort of the heaviness of it. And so sometimes when things are heavy, I try to inject a little humor here, maybe some soft teasing just to lighten the mood. The whole time that she's talking, again, I'm wishing that there was something that I could say to make this go away or make this better for her, but I'm reminding myself what I say to parents, because I fall into these traps myself too, but I'm reminding myself about advice. She's not looking for advice, because anytime I try to give advice, she bats it away. And I'm reminding myself to listen. It's hard, when you're frustrated or you're anxious as a parent, it's hard to sort of settle down and listen. And so I had to force myself to do this. And I had to force myself to kind of hold my thoughts and just sit with them. And so we spent a lot of time that night on this FaceTime call I'm telling you about. And it was me listening. And at one point, I remember she relaxed and she kind of eased up. And it was visible. You could see that she was relaxing. It's kind of hard to describe, but I could tell that she was feeling better as she was talking through these things. And then there were some things that came to my mind and that I wanted to say to her, and I was able to say them to her. But I don't think she would ever have heard them if I had just gone in, bulldozed them in at the beginning and tried to tell her these things. They would have just bounced right back off of her. So when we're trying to help our kids, or when we're trying to guide our kids, much of this has to start with connecting and listening, with empathizing, with joining them. In a way, I think of it as we have to suffer with them. And it's amazing, that night her mom called me back after this FaceTime with her, and she told me how much lighter the mood was and how much better she was feeling. And I just think it was from simple listening and sort of joining with her. So the next time your child is sharing something painful with you, instead of telling them how to respond or what to do, I just want you to join them and listen to them. Number 4, this leads to the most important step in repairing your relationship with your child, and that is I want you to get good at making repair attempts. I call it repair attempts. Learn to say you're sorry when you screw up. I have been apologizing to my kids their entire lives. I'll tell you a true story. Just the other day, I sort of flipped out at my son because his mom had told me something that he'd done. I misunderstood her, and I thought he was doing something that I've talked to him a million times I didn't want him to do. Well, anyways, when I realized that I had misunderstood her and I flipped out on him unfairly, well, I called him back. I got him on FaceTime. He was away, and I wanted to see his face. I wanted him to see my face. I just said, hey, man, I'm sorry. I screwed up with you. I totally misunderstood what Mom told me. I should never have gotten that mad. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm really sorry. That was it. And so, it's hard to apologize, but in some ways it's easy to do. And when we apologize, when we make repair attempts, that models for our kids such a great relationship skill. But also keep in mind, our kids are shockingly, amazingly resilient. They can take a lot of our screw-ups and keep on going. So you can mess up all over the place and it's okay. But what makes it really okay is when you're willing to own up and just admit your mistakes. Interestingly, research has shown, I find this fascinating, research has shown that humility is a key ingredient in intimacy. I think that's fascinating because who would ever think that humility would be the answer to intimacy? But it makes sense. If you screw up, it's okay. Just repair it with a sincere apology. Are you looking for a more effective way to connect with your child and build long-term influence with them? Well, maybe your child's misbehaving, maybe they're going through a difficult phase and you're just struggling knowing what to do or how to help them. My name is Dr. Todd Corelli, and I have spent the last 25 years as a clinical psychologist, and I work primarily with children, adolescents, young adults, and families. I have worked with thousands of families around the world. I have seen and know intimately the challenges that are facing our families. That is why I have created a 4-part video series. It's completely free to watch, and you can start viewing it immediately. This series will help you become more effective at bonding with and positively influencing your kids. My system is completely unique, highly effective. I have seen it benefit my own family and so many others, and I want your family to have this too. So just go to the link in the video description below, or you can go to correctandconnect.com, enter your details, click the button, and I'll send you immediate access.